Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Shri Radha Vinod Shri Govinda Ran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Vishnu Vishnu Shatar Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Ratan Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitil Vishnu Vishnu Shatar Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj Ki Nitil Vishnu Vishnu Shatar Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashatashmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gokshara Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Srila Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath, Shri Sri Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Ki Jai, Nam Krishna Hari Ras Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gauraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kund Shyama Kund Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kund Shyama Kund Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nishinga Bhagavan Ki Jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Harinam, Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Oh man, it's breaking up here too. Let's try getting through Jadvan. Try getting through Jadvan and see if it gets better. I'm in somebody's house using their Wi-Fi connection. It shouldn't be bad. Oh man. Okay. Maybe my mobile connection is better. It's funny how my internet's so much better in India than it is here. Okay, let's just do the Mangalacharan and let's see how it is after that. Okay. I'm going to just do the Mangalacharan and then afterwards I'm going to try to switch over to my mobile connection. No, maybe I'll... Okay, I'm going to do both at the same time. Om Jnanatirmirandhasya Shalaka Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Sminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam daipayano virahaka tara ajuhavo putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedu stang sarvabhuta hridayamunimanatosmi. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shinvatang Svakata Krishna Kirtana Tasto Vapranami Vidhunuti Suritam Shvaishu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuta Shloke Bhavir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshaya kshiptashtakama ditarangamadhe kripa maitvam sharanam prapana vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Okay, it's smooth now. It says that there's only 2 people watching, but I think that's not true, right? There's more people watching. There's not only 1 person watching on WhatsApp. I mean, YouTube. Sorry, I'm tired. Or is that a question? Anyways, let me know. Is this working okay? Seems okay? All right, send me a message if it's not okay. Smooth? Okay. Hopefully it stays that way. All right, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Ganga Didi, Indira Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Rup Manjari Didi, and Gargaraji, and whoever else is watching. Dandavat Pranams to everybody. Haribol. So I'm going to do a very quick recap. I'm feeling a little tired today, and but let's see. Prahlad. Okay, let's go back to the previous one. We'll do just look at this chart here. The 9th chapter. Wow, it's a long chapter, my God. Okay. So Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsingadev with prayers. First, the demigods, they request Prahlad to appease the angry Lord. And then there's the prayers of the Lord and Lord Nrsinga's reply to Prahlad's prayers. And then after, what did Lord Nrsingadev say to Prahlad? Let's go over that. Because yeah, Prahlad's prayers were preparing to pray, request to give up anger, seeking the Lord's shelter, his previous experience. Let me serve your pure devotee sincerely. The happiness of this world is insubstantial. Then the Supreme Lord's mercy, the Lord and the cosmos. Then Prahlad's humility and concern for the fallen souls. Then he speaks about bhakti, the ultimate refuge. When Prahlad described the qualities of Nrsingadev, who is devoid of material qualities, the Lord gave up his anger and spoke as follows. He said, "Gentle Prahlad, all good fortune unto you. I am pleased with you. I fulfill the desires of all. You may ask from me any benediction. Seeing me is very rare for those who do not please me. But one who has seen or pleased me has nothing more to lament for one. There's nothing more to lament for one's satisfaction. May you live long. Only I can fulfill everyone's desires. Therefore the wise try to please me in all different rasas, for I am the master of all blessings." Prahlad didn't desire any material boon, though he was born in a demoniac family and was allured by the Lord. This was all due to his unalloyed bhakti. Then Prahlad refuses to accept material benedictions. He says to Nrsingadev, "Please do not tempt me with material boons. I am an unmotivated servant and not a merchant." And of course, we can't misunderstand unmotivated there. I'm doing this free from without any self-interest. Then Prahlad desired not to have any material desires. Then Lord Nrsingadev instructs Prahlad to enjoy opulences and perform bhakti yoga. Then Prahlad prays for Hiranyakashipu's deliverance. And then Lord Nrsingadev glorifies the potency of devotees in purifying their dynasties. Nrsingadev said, 21 generations have been purified, O Prahlad. And Srila Prabhupada explained that's for not just the previous generations, but also for previous births, generations. So then, right, that's what Srila Prabhupada said. Then Prahlad performs the last rites of his father, and Brahma offers his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. Then Lord Nrsingadev cautions Brahma not to give such benedictions to demons again, and then he departs. And then we read the 3 births of Jai and Vijay. Let's just read from that point on. We'll just do the end part, 35, 40. Okay. So, being worshipped by Brahma, the Lord then disappeared. Prahlad Maharaj then worshipped all the demigods like Brahma, Shiva, and others. Thereafter, Brahma made Prahlad the king of all the demons. The demigods offered benedictions to Prahlad and returned to their abodes. Then linked to this next section. The discourse concerning Lord Nrsinga and Prahlad began when King Yudhishthir asked Narad Muni how Shishupal and Dantavakra attained Sayuja Mukti. Thus, Narad told the story of their previous births. Now the story is concluded. Narad will now relate how in 3 different births the associates of Lord Vishnu were killed by Vishnu himself. Okay, so he's continuing on from what we left off with in Canto 7, Chapter 1, verses 16 to 21. Now it's continuing on from there. So the 3 births of Jai and Vijay. First birth. Thus, the 2 associates of Vishnu, Jai and Vijay, who became the sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, were both killed. By illusion, they had thought that the Supreme Lord was their enemy. Then the second birth. They again took birth as Kumbhakarna and Ravan, and were killed by Lord Ram. Both of them left their bodies, absorbed in thoughts of the Lord. And in the third birth, they took birth again as Shishupal and Dantavakra, and continued their enmity. It is they who merged into the body of the Lord. Salvation by absorption. Many kings who acted as enemies of Krishna attained salvation and received spiritual bodies because they thought of the Lord at the time of death. This is similar to a worm becoming a wasp by meditating on the wasp. Pure devotees receive Sarupya Mukti by practicing bhakti. Kings who thought of Krishna as an enemy also achieved the same result. So now we're going to read the conclusion in the Phala-śruti, the results of hearing this whole narration of Prahlad and Nrsingadev, and a glorification of the Pandavas. All right. Let me check everything's working okay. Dandavat pranams Madhavi Didi, and Prajumna Prabhu and Mantra Murti Mataji. All right, came back from the Sunday Love Feast. All right, Haribol. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Akyatam sarametate yanmang twang pariprishtavam dhamma ghosha sutadinam. Hare satmyam api dvisham. Everything you asked me about how Shishupal and others attained salvation, although they were inimical, has now been explained to you by me. Esha Brahmanya Devasya Krishnasya cha Mahatmana Avatara Katha Punya Vado Yatra Daityayo. In this narration about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, various expansions or incarnations of the Lord have been described, and the killing of the 2 demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, has also been described. support by our incarnations are expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Govinda. Advaitam Achutam Anadam Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayogam Cha Vedeshra Durlabam Atma Bhakto Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible, and without beginning. Although he expands into unlimited forms, he is still the original. And although he is the oldest person, he always appears as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, and all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by the academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It's Brahma Samhita, 33rd verse. The Brahma Samhita describes the avatars. Indeed, all the avatars are described in the authentic scriptures. No one can become an avatar or incarnation, although this has become fashionable in the age of Kali. The avatars are described in the authentic scriptures, shastras, and therefore, before one risks accepting a pretender as an avatar, one should refer to the shastras. Actually, when I was on the plane, somebody was asking me about these different avatars. The shastras say everywhere that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and that he has innumerable avatars or incarnations. Elsewhere in the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, and many others are consecutive expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After Krishna comes Balaram. After Balaram is Sankarshan, then Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Narayan, and then the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. All of them are avatars. One must hear about the avatars. Narrations about such avatars are called avatar katha, the narrations of Krishna's past expansions. Hearing and chanting these narrations is completely pious. Shrinvatang sva katha Krishna, punya shravana kirtana. One who hears and chants can become punya, purified of material contamination. Whenever there are references to the avatars, religious principles are established, and the demons who are against Krishna are killed. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world with two aims: to establish Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to kill all the pretenders who falsely present themselves as avatars. The preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement must carry this conviction very carefully within their hearts, and kill the demons who, in many tactful ways, vilify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Sorry. If we take shelter of... We must kill them! Somebody could take this so wrong. If we take shelter of Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj, it will be easier to kill the demons who are against Krishna, and to thus re-establish Krishna's supremacy. Sorry. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the original Lord. Prahlad Maharaj is our Guru, and Krishna is our worshipable God. As advised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. If we can be successful in getting the mercy of Prahlad Maharaj, and also that of Nrsimhadev, then our Krishna consciousness movement will be extremely successful. The demon Hiranyakashipu had so many ways to try to become God himself, but although Prahlad Maharaj was chastised and threatened in many ways, he rigidly refused to accept his powerful demoniac father as God. Following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, we should reject all the rascals who pretend to be God. We must accept Krishna and his incarnations, and no one else. Prahradasyanucharitam Mahabhagavatasya cha Bhaktir-jnanam viraktischa yatartyam chasya vaihare sargasthityapyayeshasya gunakarmanuvar paravaresham sthananam kalena vyatyayo mahan. This narration describes the characteristics of the great and exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj, his staunch devotional service, his perfect knowledge, his perfect detachment from material contamination. It also describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Prahlad Maharaj, in his prayers, has described the transcendental qualities of the Lord and has also described how the various abodes of the demigods and demons, regardless of how materially opulent, are destroyed by the mere direction of the Lord. Purport. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is filled with descriptions of the characteristics of various devotees with reference to the service of the Lord. This Vedic literature is called Bhagavatam because it deals with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee. By studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one can perfectly understand the science of Krishna, the nature of the material and spiritual worlds, and the aim of life. Keyword there, under the direction of the spiritual master. This is very relevant to the discussion that took place this morning on Namas's podcast. Yes, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is our Praman, and that's our all in all. But we understand it under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Amalam Puranam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is a spotless Vedic literature, as we have discussed in the beginning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Therefore, simply by understanding Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, simply by understanding Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, one can understand the science of the activities of the devotees, the activities of the demons, the permanent abode and the temporary abode. And through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, everything is perfectly known. Through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I added an and. Dharmo bhagavatanang cha bhagavanyena gamyate akhyanesmin samamnatam adhyatmikam asheshata. Sorry guys, I still haven't gotten over jet lag. This is the time I usually start to feel really tired. I'm not falling asleep though, I'm just yawning. The principles of religion by which one can actually understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called Bhagavad Dharma, the principles of religion. In this narration, therefore, which deals with these principles, actual transcendence is properly described. Purport. Through the principles of religion, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahman, the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, and Paramatma, the localized aspect of the Lord. When one is well conversant with all these principles, he becomes a devotee and performs Bhagavad Dharma. Prahlad Maharaj, the spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, advised that this Bhagavad Dharma be instructed to students from the very beginning of their education. Komara acharit pragyo dharman bhagavataniha. To understand the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the real purpose of education. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One must simply hear about and describe Lord Vishnu and his various incarnations. This narration concerning Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev, therefore, has properly described spiritual transcendental subjects. Ya etat punyamakyanam Vishnur Viryopabhrimitam Kirtayat Shraddaya Shrutva Karma Pasher Vimuchyate. One who hears and chants this narration about the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is certainly liberated from material bondage without fail. Etadya adipurashasya mrigendra lilam daitendra yutta pavadam prayata pateta daityatmajasya chasatam pravarasya punyam shutvanu bhavamakuto bhayam elokam. Prahlad Maharaj was the best among exalted devotees. Anyone who with great attention hears this narration concerning the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, the killing of Hiranyakashipu, and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev, surely reaches the spiritual world where there is no anxiety. Oh, I know this verse by heart. Yuyam reloke patipura bhaga. Lokam punana munayo bhayanti yashankrihan avasatiti shakshad godam param brahma manusha lingam. Sorry guys, I just had to show off. Yuyam reloke patipuri bhaga lokam punana munayo bhayanti yashankrihan avasatiti shakshad godam param brahma manusha lingam. This is famous verse. Narad Muni continued, My dear Maharaj Yudhishthir, all of you, the Pandavas, are extremely fortunate, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, lives in your palace just like a human being. Great saintly persons know this very well, and therefore they constantly visit this house. Purport. I was singing this prayer with a friend of mine every day throughout Kartik. We were singing a group of verses and stuff like that, prayers, and this is one of them. Purport. After hearing about the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, a pure devotee should be very anxious to follow in his footsteps. But such a devotee might be disappointed, thinking that not every devotee can come to the standard of Prahlad Maharaj. This is the nature of a pure devotee. He always thinks himself to be the lowest, to be incompetent and unqualified. Thus, after hearing the narration of Prahlad Maharaj's activities, Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was on the same standard of devotional service as Prahlad, might have been thinking in a humble position. Narad Muni, however, could understand Maharaj Yudhishthir's mind, and therefore he immediately encouraged him by saying that the Pandavas were not less fortunate. They were as good as Prahlad Maharaj, because although Lord Nrsingadev appeared for Prahlad, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form as Krishna, So although he appeared for Prahlad, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form as Krishna was always living with the Pandavas. Although the Pandavas, because of the influence of Krishna's Yogamaya, could not think of their fortunate position, every saintly person, including this great sage Narad, could understand it, and therefore they constantly visited Maharaj Yudhishthir. Any pure devotee who is constantly conscious of Krishna is naturally very fortunate. The word Nriloke, meaning within the material world, indicates that before the Pandavas there had been many, many devotees, such as the descendants of the Yadu dynasty and Vashishta, Marichi, Kashyapa, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva, who were all extremely fortunate. The Pandavas, however, were better than all of them, because Krishna himself lived with them constantly. Narad Muni therefore specifically mentioned that within this material world, within this Nriloke, the Pandavas were the most fortunate. Savayam Brahma Mahar Vimregya Kaivalya Nirvana Sukhana Bhuti Priya Srihurid Va Kalomatuleya Atmar Haniyo Vidikrid Guruscha. The impersonal Brahman is Krishna himself, because Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman. He is the origin of the transcendental bliss sought by great saintly persons, yet he, the Supreme Person, is your most dear friend and constant well-wisher, and is intimately related to you as the son of your maternal uncle. Indeed, he is always like your body and soul. He is worshipable, yet he acts as your servant and sometimes as your spiritual master. Just checking quickly to make sure everything's still working. It looks like it's still working. Purport. There is always a difference of opinion about the absolute truth. One class of transcendentalists concludes that the absolute truth is impersonal, that the absolute In Bhagavad Gita, the absolute truth is accepted as a supreme person. Indeed, that supreme person himself, Lord Krishna, instructs in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham mata para tarang nanyat. The impersonal Brahman is my partial manifestation, and there is no truth superior to me. That same Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acted as a supreme friend and relative of the Pandavas. And sometimes he even acted as their servant by carrying a letter from us to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Because Krishna was the well-wisher of the Pandavas, he also acted as Guru by becoming the spiritual master of Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as a spiritual master, Shashashtamam Shadam Tam Prapanam. And Krishna sometimes chastises. For example, the Lord said, Ashochas anvashochastvam pragyavadang shabhashashe. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. The Lord also said, Kutastam kashmalamidam vishame samupasitam. My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? Such was the intimate relationship between the Pandavas and Krishna. In the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord is always with Krishna through the thick and thin. His way of life is Krishna. This is a statement of the authority Sri Narad Muni. That's beautiful. Nayasya shakshar bhavaparmajan tibhi rupam dhiya vastu tayo pavarnitam monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita prasiddhatang esha sasatvatang pati. Exalted persons like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma could not properly describe the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. May the Lord, who is always worshipped as the protector of all the devotees by great saints who observe vows of silence, meditation, devotional service, and renunciation, be pleased with us. May that Lord be pleased with us. Purport. The absolute truth is sought by different persons in different ways, yet he remains inconceivable. Nonetheless, devotees like the Pandavas, the Gopis, the cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan do not need to practice conventional processes of meditation to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he remains with them through thick and thin. Therefore, as saints like Narad, understanding the difference between transcendentalists and pure devotees, always prays that the Lord will be pleased with him. Sa esha Bhagavan Rajan Vyatanor Vihatam Yasha Purarudrasya Devasya Mayenanantamayena. My dear King Yudhishthir, long, long ago in history, a demon known as Maya Danava, who was very expert in technical knowledge, reduced the reputation of Lord Shiva. In that situation, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, saved Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is known as Mahadev, the most exalted demigod. Thus, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that although Lord Brahma did not know the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva could have known them. This historical incident proves that Lord Shiva derives power from Krishna, the Para Brahman. Rajovacha Kasmin karmani devasya mayohan jagarish ishitu yatak chopachita kirti krishnena nena katyatam. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, for what reason did the demon Maya Danava vanquish Lord Shiva's reputation? How did Lord Krishna save Lord Shiva and expand his reputation again? Kindly describe these incidents. I'm wondering why he's talking about this. Did I miss the connection? Anyhow, sorry guys. Shri Naraduvacha Nirta Asura, sorry, I was looking at the Devanagari. Nirjita Asura Devar Yudhyane no Brimhitai Mainam Paramacharyam Mayam Sharanamayayu. Narad Muni said, when the demigods, who are always powerful by the mercy of Lord Krishna, fought with the Asuras were defeated, and therefore they took shelter of Maya Danava, the greatest of the demons. Sanirmaya purastisro haimi rupyasir vibhu durlakshya payasam yoga durvitarkya parichadha tavaste surasenanyo lokanstrin seshwaran nripa smaranto nashayam chakro purva vairam alakshita. Mayadanava, the great leader of the demons, prepared 3 invisible residences and gave them to the demons. These dwellings resembled airplanes made of gold, silver, and iron, and they contained uncommon paraphernalia. So cool, invisible airplane residences. My dear King Yudhishthir, because of these 3 dwellings, the commanders of the demons remained invisible to the demigods. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the demons, remembering their former enemy, began to vanquish the 3 worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Tataste seshvara loka upasadeshvaram nata Trahinasthavakam deva vinashtangs tripuralayai. Thereafter, when the demons had begun to destroy the higher planetary systems, the rulers of those planets went to Lord Shiva, fully surrendered unto him, and said, Dear Lord, we demigods living in the 3 worlds are about to be vanquished. We are your followers. Kindly save us. Atanugreya Bhagavan ma bhashteti suran vibhu sharam dhanushi sandhya pureshvastram vyamunchata. The most powerful and able Lord Shiva reassured them and said, Do not be afraid. He then fixed his arrows and his bow and released them toward the 3 residences occupied by the demons. Tatogni varna ishava utpetu suryamandalat yata mayuka sandoha nadrishanta puro yata. The arrows released by Lord Shiva appeared like fiery beams emanating from the sun globe and covered the 3 residential airplanes, which could then no longer be seen. Taisprishta vyasava sarve nipetu sma porokasa tan aniya mahayogi maya kuparase kshipat. Attacked by Lord Shiva's golden arrows, all the demoniac inhabitants of those 3 dwellings lost their lives and fell down. Then the great mystic Maya Danava dropped the demons into the nectarian well that he had created. Purport. The Asuras are generally extremely powerful because of yogic power. However, as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 6:47, Yoginam apisarvesham margatanenam taratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mata. Of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. Sorry guys, I'm starting to fall asleep now actually. The actual purpose of mystic yoga is to concentrate one's attention fully on the personality of Godhead Krishna and always think of him, Margatane Nantaratmana. To attain such perfection, one must undergo a certain process of Hatha Yoga, and through this yoga system, the practitioner achieves some uncommon mystic power. The Asuras, however, instead of becoming a devotee of Krishna, they utilize this proper mystic power for their own personal sense gratification. Mayadanava, for example, is mentioned here as Mahayogi, a great mystic. But his business was to help the Asuras. Nowadays, we are actually seeing that there are some yogis who cater to the senses of materialists, and there they are imposters who advertise themselves as God. Mayadanava was not such a person as God among Mayadanava was not such a person, a god among demons, and he was such a person, and he could perform some wonderful feats, one of which is described here. He made a well filled with nectar and dipped the asuras into that nectarian well. This well was known as Mritta Sanjivayitari, for it could bring a dead body back to life. Mritta Sanjivayitari is also an Ayurvedic preparation. It is a kind of liquor that invigorates even a person on the verge of death. Siddhamrita rasa sprishta vajrasara mahojasa utastur megadalana vaidita eva vanaya. When the dead bodies of the demons came in touch with the nectar, their bodies became invincible to thunderbolts. Endowed with great strength, they got up like lightning penetrating clouds. Vilokya bhagna sankalpam vimanaskam vrishadvajam tadayam bhagavan vishnu statropayam akalpayat. Seeing Lord Shiva very much aggrieved and disappointed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, considered how to stop this nuisance created by Mayadanava. Purport 62. Vatshaschasit tada Brahma Swayam Vishnu Rayam Higo Pravishya Tripuram Kale Rasakupamritam Papo. Then Lord Brahma became a calf, and Lord Vishnu a cow. And at noon they entered the residences and drank all the nectar in the well. Te sura hyapi pashyanto nanyase dan vimohita tad vigyaya mahayogi rasapalam idam jago smayam vishokashokartan smaran daiva gatim chatam. Okay, looks like it's still going strong. The demons could see the calf and cow, but because of the illusion created by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons could not forbid them. The great mystic Mayadanava became aware that the calf and cow were drinking the nectar, and that he could understand this to be the unseen power of providence. Thus he spoke to the demons who were grievously lamenting. va nishvaroti stiha kashtana atmanopyanavanas atmanonyasya vadishtam daivena pohitam dvayo. Mayadanava said, what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere by anyone. Therefore, I'm going to stand up. 1 second, guys. I'm just going inside the kitchen. Here. This is better. All right. Sorry about that, guys. What has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, and for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else. Purport. The Supreme Lord is one, Krishna, the Vishnu Tattva. Krishna expands himself into Vishnu Tattva, personal expansions, function, who control everything. Mayadanava said, however I plan, you plan or both of us plan, the Lord has planned what is to happen. No one's plan will be successful without his sanction. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they will never be successful. Hundreds and millions of plans are made by all kinds of living entities, but without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, they are futile. 65-66. Ataso shaktibi svabhi shambho pradhanikam vyadat dharma jnana viraktriddhi tapo vidya kriyadivi ratam sutam tajambahan dhanurvarma sharadiyat sannadho ratamastaya sharam dhanur upadade. Narad Muni continued, thereafter, Lord Krishna, by his own personal potency, consisting of religion, knowledge, renunciation, opulence, austerity, education, and activities, equipped Lord Shiva with all the necessary paraphernalia, such as a chariot, a charioteer, a flag, horses, elephants, a bow, a shield, and arrows. When Lord Shiva was fully equipped in this way, he sat down on the chariot with his arrows and bowed to fight with the demons. Purport. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12:13-16, Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the best of the Vaishnavas. The devotees of Lord Shiva is the best of the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Lord Krishna. Indeed, he is one of the Mahajans, the 12 authorities on Vaishnava philosophy, Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumaro Kapila Manu, etc. Lord Krishna is always prepared to help all the Mahajans and devotees in every respect. Konteya pratijanihi nami bhakta pranashati. Although Lord Shiva is very powerful, he lost a battle to the Asuras, and therefore he was morose and disappointed. However, because he is one of the chief devotees of the Lord personally equipped him with all the paraphernalia for war. The devotee, therefore, must serve the Lord sincerely, and Krishna is always in the background to protect him, and, if need be, to equip him fully to fight with his enemy. For devotees, there is no scarcity of knowledge or material requisites for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. Sharam dhanushi sandhaya muhurte bijitishvara tadaha tena durbhedya haratha tripuro nripa. My dear King Yudhishthir, the most powerful Lord Shiva, joins the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all 3 residences of the demons, and thus destroyed them. Devi dundu bhayo nedur vimana shatashankula devarshipatri pitri siddhesha jayati kusumokarai avakiran jagorhishta nandritushchapsarogana. Seated in their airplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of higher planetary systems beat many kettle drums. The demigods saints, pitas, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing him all victory. And the apsaras began to chant and dance with great pleasure. Evam dagdva purastristisro Bhagavan puraha nripa pramadhibi stuyamana samdhama pratyapadyata. O King Yudhishthir, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of the three dwellings of the demons, because he burnt these dwellings to ashes. Being worshipped by the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. This is the last verse of the chapter. Evam vidhanyasya hare somayaya vidamban manasya nirlokamatmana viryani gityan rishibhir jagadguru lokam punana aparam vadamikim. Okay, last verse. The Lord, Sri Krishna, appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great saintly persons? Everyone can be purified by his activities simply by hearing about them from the right source. Purport. Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedic literatures fully explain that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears in human society as an ordinary human being, but acts very uncommonly for the well-being of the entire world. One should not be influenced by the illusory energy and think Lord Krishna to be an ordinary human being. Those who really think the absolute truth come to the understanding that Krishna is everything, Vasudeva Saramati. Such great souls are very rare. Nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. The Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. If people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 10th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nrsimha Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai, Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha, Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimha, Bahir Nrsimha, Hridaye Nrsimha, Nrsimha Mahadim Sharanam Prapade, Nrsimha Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Garangandhar Giridhari, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govana Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashita Shmar, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Guru Dev ki Jai. Nitil Pravishpa Rashita Rashita Shmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashita Rashita Shmar Srila Bhaktivedanta. Oh God, I spaced out. Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashita Rashita Shmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashita Rashita Shmar Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashita Rashita Shmar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunashi Jeev Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. नाम अक्षय शिलाहिदास ठाकुर की जाए प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाए सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाए श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाए श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जाए श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाए श्री भक्ति देवी की जाए श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जाए श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाए श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जाए भक्त प्रभार श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जाए ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाए समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाश कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Dandava pranams everybody. Yes, Manjari, I am sleepy, and I kind of like this thing of going to sleep really early, because as you know very well, I have a bad habit of like going to sleep at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or like that every day. And so it's kind of nice to be stuck with going to sleep too early and then waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty neat. I did that today. All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy that it actually worked out in the end. I was thinking today was going to be another terrible day. Rup Manjari very kindly got me a SIM card. So I'm now going to be able to be back in touch with people. I just finally got it in my phone today. Sorry, I'm not going to read all these comments right now. Many comments and questions and things. I'm feeling a little tired. I just need to end for now. See you all tomorrow. Hari bol.